Taste the heavenly bread and the cup of life, and see, and see how great the Lord is.
Hi, my name is Will. I'm from Christ the Saviour Seminary, and here I am in Toronto, Canada, here at our St. John the Compassionate Mission and Live Theology School. So, where I'm standing right now is right outside Live Theology School, and I'll cut you right to it. Right here is Live Theology School with the van parked right in front. It's that white section right there. Now, what I'd like to do tonight is take us on a walk from the mission, from the theology school to the mission. And the location they're at right now, they just obtained within the past year. So I'd like to record and see exactly how much distance exists between the theology school and from the mission. So what I'm going to do is, while we're walking and talking, I'm going to record and see how much time it takes. So here we go. So today, what we did, we arrived just a little bit around 9 o'clock, and we had the 3rd hour service. Around 11:30 we had the 6th hour, and before and after then we spent a little bit of time preparing for lunch. Now, in preparing for lunch, some of us spent some time over at the bakery, we spent some time in the kitchen, wherever we were needed. Whatever we had to do, we set up tables, and we were glad to do it. It was beautiful stuff. And then after lunch was served, we went immediately upstairs, and we had the opportunity in the afternoon to speak with Father Roberto Ubertino, which is a very rare thing from what we understand. And this evening, we had the opportunity to speak with Dr. Mary Morocco, who heads up some very important elements of St. John the Compassionate Mission, including St. Mary's Refuge, which is a little bit north of here. One of the things I wanted to reflect on while we've got a little bit of time is to kind of consider, since we're on our way to the mission, why do people come to the mission? You know, what reasons do they have? This is a very important thing, I figure, and it's very much related to what we got to speak to Father Roberto about. Everybody who comes to the mission, we find more and more, they come with a need. And in a sea of needs, the world is today, it's essentially a desert out here. And there's something very theological and deeply orthodox about referring to the mission as an oasis in the midst of all these deserts. The world is full of outcasts and exiles, and all people who have been condemned to the desert. And the desert can often be, well, our own fears, our own addictions. We can be talking about a very real desert, geographically speaking, but more and more, deeply more important, is something deeply spiritual, something spiritually wrong going on in our lives. And the mission serves as an oasis in the midst of this desert, physically and spiritually. We know that Christ is always with the poor. He's always with the poor. He sat with sinners and tax collectors. And on the day of judgment, what are we going to be asked? Are we going to be asked how many prostrations we did? Will we be asked how much did we tithe? No. Did we feed the poor? Did we clothe the naked? Did we care for the sick? And those who do it to the least of his brethren, do it to him. And the poor, essentially, are our masters, and only by the poor we find, mind you, I'm stealing a lot of this from quotes from the fathers that are posted all over the mission, we find that only by the poor will we inherit the kingdom of heaven. So if the poor are our masters, what do we have to learn from them? It's kind of been the big question. What are we going to learn from them? What are we going to pick up? One of the seminarians had posed the question to Father Roberto. He said, well, he kind of feels at a loss of how to do things because, I mean, what is he supposed to do? You know, what do you do? And Father Roberto, very knowledgeable and a spiritual man, he answered, we put a lot of emphasis in doing in our world. You're only as good and as much as you do things. And not enough emphasis on simply being there for each other. Simply being around, lending an ear, talking with each other. And we find, so we're taught here at St. John the Compassionate, that the poor can be your teachers, simply being around them. And the more that you're around them, the more they become like a mirror. And you realize how deeply impoverished we all really are. You know, if the desert is our fear, our own addictions, and all the things that we have to overcome in our own lives, and how deeply impoverished we are, then really, we have a lot to learn from the poor, and what it means to really need, and to be vulnerable. And the more time we spend here, the more we're picking it up over time. Okay, so looking at the clock, came to about 4.5 minutes, which is not half bad. Okay, thank you very much for walking with me this evening, and God bless, and please keep watching the videos.